welcome to episode 8 of Car Talks on Frantic FM. Today, I think I wanted to talk about just straight up addictions. I have seen addiction from many different points of views. Seen it in third person with my stepmom, heard stories from my dad, but seeing my stepmom having the effects of addiction, different types of addiction, the withdrawal, and just the characteristic changes and like just the mental changes. But before I was even born, my dad would tell me stories. He was talking to a girl, went to a rave, and at that point he just started smoking weed, and she handed him fucking crack, and it just went downhill from there. And he started selling a little bit, got a little taste of money, and then just went full send on it. Sold a bunch, bought a bunch. And it was pretty much like this maintenance. So the more money he made, the more drugs he could take or use. And funny enough, when my mom was pregnant with me, my dad literally said he let his boss know, which he had a super cool boss, and she was actually his boss while I was growing up. But it's just like, I'm having a kid. And I'm gonna get clean. I was like, I want to get clean. And she told him to rent a hotel room. And this is back like early 2000s, like literally in 2000. Rent a hotel room, sit there for like take a week off, I'll cover your shifts, I'll do whatever I need to. Go in there for a week and fully detox. Apparently this motherfucker was on the hotel floor going through full withdrawal from everything. Did not leave that hotel room until he was clean and sober. And then since that day, never touched anything. Never touched alcohol, never touched weed, never touched literally anything. He barely takes the medication for his fucking illness because he doesn't want to get in the habit of taking pills. Again. And I think that's where my all or nothing spirit comes in. It's like, if I'm doing drugs, I'm doing all of them. If I'm not doing any of them, cutting cold turkey. My mom absolutely hates drugs. The one thing he did continue to do is like nicotine, but he did chewing tobacco. That's probably where I get this shit from, because this is like Adderall for a normal ADHD kid. But yeah, I never really saw anything like that growing up until my stepmom came in. Just heard stories. And then I started seeing my stepmom, like I knew people like drank, like socially and stuff like that. I noticed that she was pouring a drink every time she got home, and then I would notice like full bottles just in the trash like every other day of Jack Daniels, and she always had Coke in the house for that reason. And then I noticed it just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And she developed that because she lost like 4 or 5 members of her family bunch of different reasons in the matter of like 2 years. And she was from a big family. Losing half of them in a short period of time, it was too much for her. And she was having back issues and back surgeries. So she didn't know it at the time, but she was getting hooked on opioids in the middle of that epidemic. And just started taking more and more. My dad was like, look, you gotta fix something. So they started weaning her off of alcohol. And the less alcohol she drank, she would go through phases where she was doing really well, no alcohol, taking medications when she's supposed to, and everything like that. But then I got into a slippery slope. She was taking her medicine and my dad's medicine at one point. I mean, that just shows how much tolerance you can make. There were some points she would take 50 to 100 Percocets in a week. I don't even know how your body can handle it. And she did, at least for a little while. And she smoked Marlboro Reds. Started going through like over a pack a day and just taking more and more pills. And like I said, it would go through waves where she would realize like she would end up in the hospital, or she wasn't allowed to drive because she wrecked like 3 cars because she was drunk. She didn't get hit with a DUI. I don't even know how. I don't know how she didn't kill anyone. And that was like the rift that was between me and her, because we started out best friends. We talked all the time, did a bunch of shit together, but seeing her go down that rabbit hole and me dealing with my own depression without even knowing it, seeing her depression and not having a name for it, not being educated in those things, not being educated in addiction, I knew it wasn't good. I knew what she was battling with was way beyond my control, and it hurt. An empath like me, and I'm a helper, I'm a fixer, but I'm a very much like, just let me fix it. And that was a hard reality for me to grasp. Was like, you can fix physical things, as in like tangible, other than people. You can make them feel good in a moment, and that's what I genuinely try to do with as many people as I can. I make them feel as good and as important as possible and help them out as much as I can verbally. But I couldn't help her. I didn't know what I know now to help her. And just seeing her pretty much die day after day, slowly. I didn't want to be home. That created so much anger, so much hostility in the house. I just left. Especially when we moved into this house. Like I said in the last episode, I've lived there for 10 years. I met my best friends in this house. They live in the same neighborhood. And I literally was outside 24/7. Probably 3 or 4 days out of the week, I would sleep over at their house. Or go home super late just to get ready for school. Jump on the bus, and then from the bus, go home, drop my bag off, and go right back to their house. Or just in my room playing video games. Because I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to witness that. And I didn't know that's what I was feeling at that time. it sucks. I wish I could have helped more, but I tried. We've gotten into arguments. We've gotten into heated arguments. And again, it was that view of you're just a kid. You don't know the real world aspect to things. And they were right in a sense, but it was just difficult. It really was difficult. I have compassion for everyone that was in that situation, addiction or medical problems, because she was a shell of who she was. Especially the last year she was alive. I mean, she was in the hospital over a dozen times. The last 8 months that she was alive. I mean, she was just getting surgery after surgery, getting like illness after illness. I mean, she lost like 60 pounds in those 8 months. She could barely function. She really could barely function. And at the end of it, I was just so mentally tired. I got so used to her not being there. I was angry with her because I felt that everything that was going wrong with her was her fault. And the answer to her problems were so simple in my head. It's like, why can't you just listen to me? Why can't you just do these simple things? And until I started smoking weed, and you can say whatever you want about weed, but my struggle of not smoking gave me just the slightest view into her world. Because I was trying to quit smoking for like over a year, but it was never like a really good reason for me to actually quit until I wanted to try to get a job that I couldn't smoke. I mean, random piss tests and all that jazz, but before that, I mean, just like that mental battle of I don't want to do this, but there's no reason for me not to do this. I enjoy this, and like kind of convincing myself to do it. I mean, that just gave me the slightest view of what she was going through, and it changed my perspective of her in some ways. But I was so angry, and everyone that is witnessing that through addiction or through illness, and just watching your loved ones just slowly become a shell of who they are, or just eventually passing, it's hard. It really is hard. And the most difficult part about that, once they're gone, especially if you believe in the higher power and where they're going, I'm just glad she passed that way, because she's tried to commit suicide over a dozen times. And the shit I've seen, her hanging from a garden hose, coming back to the house with like a fully wrecked car with like blood dripping down her wrists, and just like just so many more instances where those images, those events are burned into my fucking skull, and not having the coping mechanisms and truly understanding what that was fucked with me. And it fucked with our relationship. And everyone that was like me, that just couldn't stand to just sit there and watch and separate themselves. You're not, at least what I tell myself is like, you're not a bad person. You were handling it the only way you knew how in that moment, with very limited knowledge and understanding of what's truly going on, but that does not make you a bad person. It does not change who you are in the inside, and I need everyone to realize that. And what I realized was, it's mostly the addict's decision to do what they do, but until you flirt with the line that they battle with, that is the only time you get any sort of real understanding of what they're going through. And I was dealing with something that was quote unquote not addictive or whatever the fuck, but that changed everything for me. But I don't want to make it sad. That is part of my story, and I've been thinking about her more and more recently, so I think that is why I wanted to talk about it. But I'm at the gym. Let's work out these emotions. Let's get this work in.